Today, I can't tell you how ecstatic I am to introduce you to my personal coach, Brenda Byers, and she's the CEO of P.R.O.S.P.E.R in all things. Who doesn't want that? And best-selling author of True Total Soul Prosperity. Amazing. She's brilliant in combining scripture, neuroscience, and strategy to help Christian women prosper with peace. But first, well, good, beautiful day, beautiful, beautiful souls. This is Charla Anderson, host of the Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating, especially you. But first, we're going to do our little 22-second mini vacation and take a little breathing exercise. We're going to be still and know. So we're going to breathe in some calm for 7 seconds. Hold for 4 and breathe out gratitude for 11 seconds. So here we go. Breathe in some calm. Hold. Relax, release. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you so much, Brenda, for joining me today. I'm so excited to share you with my people.
Thank you.
Kind of been a worst-kept secret.
So excited to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I don't typically do a formal introduction. So what I usually say is something like, who are you in this world? And then we'll get on and what you do.
Who am I in this world? I'm a God lover and daughter of the Most High God. And in terms of profession, I'm privileged to be a coach, business and success coach to amazing women like you. My passion is equipping faith-based females to not only just prosper in all things, but to build profitable, faith-integrated businesses. That's 2 really important words because I see that lagging very often. Either the profit or profit with peace or the faith-integrated. They love God in their hearts, but somehow when it comes time to business, that's not part of it. And so my passion has been reconnecting that and seeing God's daughters truly prosper. Total, like you said, my passion, I wrote it in my book, My Story, available on Amazon, but total soul prosperity, what is that? That's when we prosper spiritually, because that's where the foundation. Physically, without health, what do we have, right? Financially, and in all our relationships. And this is what I believe God has called us to. And so I'm privileged to be able to bring that message and the equipping and the empowering to make it happen.
Well, what I know about you is, and it's across the board with everybody, I believe in our group, our membership, is that you never fail to over deliver. Whatever it is that you're sharing and giving, it's exponentially more than we could ask or imagine. And it's been a consistency like that from the day we first met. I know you do things a whole lot different, I think, than a lot of life coaches or business coaches. You've got this 4-hour intensive that you do to try to bring out what the needs are or what the talents are of your clients, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Breakthrough Business Intensive is really about clarity. And I think if there's one thing lacking for most people in their business, it's clarity. And that, of course, nothing happens until that's in place. And so we spend time together and we spend it on a whiteboard. I send templates in advance to get absolutely clear on your niche. And I don't mean women over 50. That's not a niche, that's half the world. And usually if I ask someone what's their niche, that's how far it gets. So we dive deep. Who you're called to serve. Who is your who? And what are they going through? What are their now problems? What are their goals? What's stopping? We really dig that deep, okay? Because, if I back up before that, we tap into your God-given vision. Because scripture says in Habakkuk 2, write the vision and make it plain that those who see it may run with it. And so we get super clear on the coach's vision, God-given vision, and it's in writing and it's clear so they can run with it, their team can run with it, their clients can run with it. So we've got that, and then the niche, who we serve, gets super, super clear on that. And from that, everything else builds. The packages, the pricing, the messaging, the marketing, the path, because what I see is three major disconnects in faith-based women, three major inefficiencies. And the first is, like I opened with, they and their business, their relationship with God and God in their business, or their God-given vision in their business, it's disconnected. It's like two separate babies. Like they don't have any relationship, right? And so bringing that together, that's the first. Once that's super clear, and that's the purpose of the Breakthrough Intensive, then it's having a clear path. How do I implement that? And that's where coaching comes in, right? How do I implement my God-given vision based on my purpose and who I'm serving, etc.? How do I implement that? What's the path? And then the third is profits with peace. Too many people are not profitable. And in fact, to the point that they're actually having to get a job to fund their business. I mean, that's so backwards, instead of funding their lifestyle. And so I really believe that God is calling us at this time, as I opened with, my passion is to build profitable faith-integrated businesses. And so pulling those three things together, women can step fully into making not just the income, but the impact that they're called to make. I like to say there's a big difference between information and transformation. And for true transformation to happen, you need to have clients that are paying you, unless you've got a nonprofit or funded some other way, and you are absolutely working with them using your gifts, right, to create that transformation.
And I've witnessed it over and over and over. I know I'm the poster child, the one, I'm the problem child in all this. I know. I mean, I'm listening to this going, yes, that's what I need, but I have it. But, so I've witnessed it. And you've got example after example after example of people that have just no clarity to successful businesses in a fairly short time, right?
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, the timetable, I suppose it's true of us as humans and with God, right? I mean, God gives us everything that we need, and then how long does it take for us to fully step in? That's different. There's some that just catch it from God and they just run with it and they're never off course. And, there's some like those that were freed from Egypt that go around the same mountain for 40 years, so there's a level of grace, and we have to grow our capacity, frankly. God's always giving. The opportunity is huge. And it's the level of our capacity to be able to receive and be able to steward what God has given us. So there's a whole range. And of course, I work with a whole range of women. I have some people that are starting from just scratch. Like Kate, for example, you met Kate, and she was already in a job. She'd been in that job for a long time. She'd given a notice, and she wanted to be a consultant herself. She worked in hospitals and schools, a lot of nonprofit kind of things. And so she had 90 days notice that she gave. We spent that 90 days doing what we just talked about, establishing the clarity, the who, the what, the how. And so that when she launched and left the job, in the next 90 days, now again, it all depends how much the woman implements what I teach, right? She ran with it. She absolutely ran with it. She hit she hit six figures in 90 days. Six figures in 90 days. Now, not everybody hits it that way, and then I have others who've just gone through so much devastation and so much like Pilar. She was stuck for a longer period of time because in the housing crash in the 2000s, she lost everything, real estate broker, and, she just has so many talents that she does, mortgage broker, real estate broker, all of that. And she really had gotten stuck, and so much of that was mindset. So we're always dealing with mindset, skill set, and right action to get the results. So, with Kate, it was mindset, but it was a lot of skill set. Let's just get you running. With P.R.O.S.P.E.R, it was mindset. And once she got a breakthrough, the beautiful thing is that not only did she make an extra six figures, 100,000. Now it took a year that we worked together in that case, but in that year she made an extra $100,000, right? And but what was beautiful is to see how it spreads to everything. She got in the gym and had a trainer, her relationship with her husband. She started vacationing and traveling. I mean, you just see it, spread to so many areas. And that's, what I talk about when total soul prosperity or prospering in all things. It's not about sacrificing. This is how, I spent the first half of my life, right? I built multi-seven-figure companies, but it was sacrificing sleep, sacrificing time, with family, sacrificing health, right? So this is not that model. It's not striving. It's not sacrificing, right? It is about doing this God's way with grace and with ease. Not that we don't work hard, but it's all in balance, all in balance.
Well, grace and ease and fun and balance and flow.
Yeah.
Flow. I love using the word flow that you use occasionally. And your story, of course, my show is primarily about telling stories of overcoming and hope, and so your story of hope is amazing. Your story of overcoming is really amazing. You
Can I close the door? We have a dog barking.
Sure.
I think UPS just delivered a package.
Oh,
you cannot prepare that timing. Life just happens.
It does, and this is, who cares?
This is real. This is raw. This is life, especially in this era when we work from home, right? So, back up just a little bit, please, and repeat. I apologize for that.
No, that's fine. We're talking about overcoming, and you had a really troubled childhood, even though it wasn't. You weren't poor, but you were not nurtured well, I believe. Is that correct, as a child?
Yeah, that's a good point. Money's wonderful, but that's why we go for total soul prosperity, right? So, yeah, I had a very, very challenging childhood, and yet I'm grateful for it. God redeemed it. God redeemed me. And it allows me to understand people better and serve people better. So my mom was bipolar, and they didn't have medications or understand that back then. She handled that self-medicating with practically overdosing, and many times overdosing on prescription meds, and mixing that with alcohol. So none of those things are good. And so certainly she didn't have the ability, honestly, to parent me or be in my life. And then my father was also an alcoholic. He was more functioning alcoholic and a workaholic, and he was a pedophile. And so he sexually molested all of us kids. And he was an extremely volatile man, that there was a lot of domestic violence. So I grew up with, very little stability. And yet God was able to use that to put me on a search for God and God to find me. And so I was blessed. Christ found me at only 17 years old. when I was a very lost little girl looking for love in all the wrong places, coming out of all of that trauma. And so I believe that the story of redemption is so, so beautiful. And yet, even though often God saves us, as he does, we still, my Prosper system in here, it spells the word prosper, P.R.O.S.P.E.R. So the P is partner with God in business, right? And the R, which is where I'm going with this, is renew the mind. And so he redeemed me, he saved me, he changed my life, the entire trajectory of my life. A pastor and his wife took me in and began to mentor me and actually got me in a Christian college, which I don't think ever would have happened on my own merit. So I got a fabulous education. And so in all those ways, I was really blessed. There was still a lot of healing and mind renewing that needed to happen. And that mind renewing, is that dog really messing this up? Can you hear it?
I can barely hear it.
Good. Okay. Thank you. So that renewing of the mind led me on a quest, honestly, to learn everything. That's where the neuroscience comes from. That's digging deep into the word. My master's education is marriage and family counseling. So I got the psychology background, so I think God allowed me to use the hunger that was created by my childhood to really store up a lot of treasures that I can use right now in coaching. I have a wealth of things to draw from, whether being mentored by one of the top brain function specialists for a couple of decades, to the education, to the biblical background, to the experience of being an entrepreneur and running companies and being in business for decades. So I think out of that treasure trove, it's beautiful that I get to use that to serve women, in this season.
Well, it's just amazing that, I know you, the story of striving. This book, everybody should read your book. It's short and it's Prosper, P.R.O.S.P.E.R. So 7 chapters. It's short and sweet and should be a Bible study or a book club or something for everyone. So prosper and all. True soul prosperity, total soul prosperity.
Total soul prosperity.
Total. That means everything.
Everything.
But you were a striver, and the things that you say you did to get you started a network marketing company that went to 7 figures, and you were married and living in. Did you live in Korea? No, your husband.
Oh, I did live in Korea for 2 years right out of college. And came back with more than I left with. I came back with a Korean husband. And yes, I went on to found an international nutritional network marketing company. And, I had been on both sides. I made my first 6-figure income as a distributor with a Canadian network marketing company. So I think that gave me the people skills and the sales skills. I think network marketing is a personal development course you get paid to take, right? And so it was great when I came back from college and I got involved in a Canadian. And then when we founded our own, when we were looking for an answer for our daughter's health challenge and traveled all over the world, multiple continents and countries and hundreds of physicians and researchers and so on, and developing our own product and, developing a nutritional network marketing company, certainly gave me the underpinning of understanding to be able to walk entrepreneurs through the process. There's no part of the business cycle. The ups, the downs, the marketing, the sales, I didn't just get a coach certification, although I created a coach certification program. I'm able to bring real life experience, right? And have weathered a lot of storms. If you talk about the crash in the 2000s, or Y2K, or COVID, or I've been fortunate to live through a lot of ups and downs. That helps me have a very balanced perspective, I think, in equipping women to build profitable faith integrated businesses.
Yeah, and it's interesting that I have been multiple acquaintances or even mentors that I've had that this is their goal, is to God in business, business with God, and having God as your CEO and your business partner, and putting that first. So you're not the first one that I've had that with, but you've taken it to a huge level. I want to show now. Most people listen to these podcasts, as a podcast rather than watch the video. But I'm going to show my coaching certification. I'm working on completing the rest of it this year.
Charla. Go Charla.
Yeah. So I will have I can put letters behind my name.
Yes. 100%. Love it.
And you. I've heard a lot of your stories, and of course, reading it in your book. One of the things is you went through a really hard. You had 3 children, right? So you went through a really hard divorce and ended up with nothing, pretty much starting from scratch at one point. Yeah. And that's where the total soul. That's where Prosper in All Things came to you. Yeah. It seems, right?
Yes. Lot of years of prayer, and in 2012, when I left, I pretty much left everything behind: the businesses, the houses, the cars, the boats, all of that, and moved into an empty rental, and took very few things, and didn't know where income was going to come from. I didn't take child support, alimony, any of that. So didn't really know where it was going to come from, but I felt very called to mentor women. That had been my passion for many, many years, whether it was Bible study leader or, the training I did in the network marketing. It's always been my passion to equip, right, Christian women to prosper in all things. And so I actually thought that I was going to start in the speaker world, because I had been speaking for a lot of years. And I had been privileged to share the stage with amazing people, and had built my own stages, and large stages, and filled ballrooms and, auditoriums and all of that. And so I actually started really in a very unorthodox way, I think. I came in coaching definitely in the back door, not the front door. I actually started with 3 live events. I rented high scale resort hotels, and I did full day events, and I did a series of 3 events in the first 6 months after I left. So in 6 months, I ended up doing 3 events, and I think it was about 8 master classes, if I'm not mistaken, and I think it was 36 Bible studies. I was pretty much a prolific maniac when it comes to that. But the funny thing is that back then, it was not in vogue to mix your faith and business. In fact, it was taboo. You didn't do that. And so my first event, if you can imagine, just bold me, just putting it out there, was God, money, and me. You don't even mix those 3 things, right? That's my first event. That's how I launched: God, money, and me. And you can still listen to that in the Prosper Leader membership. It's a fun. It just really helps people break through their ideas of money. And then the second one was God, health, and me. Completely unique approach. What do we understand? Psychoneuroimmunology. What does the Bible say? Neuroscience. What do we understand about health? And especially that you can find this cover to cover in the scriptures. So that's why I always love scripture plus science plus strategy, right? And then the third one was God, love, and me. And that one probably touched me and changed my life more than anything that I have done. It's an event I'll never forget. Beautiful hotel, La Rivage, had a suite, had it up overlooking the river, and beautiful women gathered, beautiful food. And here I was going to teach about love. And at this point, I had not left yet. This was the last stages of my marriage. And it was very clear that I was going to be going through a divorce. And in my mind, Christians don't get a divorce. I had no plan on ever getting a divorce. I planned you stay married till you die, right? And so I was completely convinced in my own mind that this was the end of my business, prosper in all things, and that I had no business teaching or coaching or anything else. I was a complete throw me off to the side leftover, truly. And so I came completely prepared. My assistant was there, prepared to refund everybody. It was, I don't remember, $547 or $597 to attend this all day. And I said, I'm here to teach about love. And I have absolutely no business teaching you. It looks like I'm going to be going through a divorce. And I said, I understand you're Christian women and you probably don't want me leading. And I totally get that. And my assistant is here. She's prepared to refund you your money. And I felt I needed to be honest with you. What happened that day changed my life forever. Because nobody got up and moved. Now, I never stopped to think, yes, they were Christian women, but probably more than 50% of them statistically were divorced. Like, none of that crossed my mind. I was just the one, right? And what happened, they got up from their chairs and came to me and did this huge group hug and then sat back down in their chairs, and they were not going anywhere. And it did a number of things. Not just did it break my heart for God and love for the women. The perfect mask that I'd always worn about being perfect was completely shredded. It was the most vulnerable moment I'd had up until that time. And so the mask was off. And consequently, the transparency and the intimacy in the room was incredible. And the Holy Spirit just fell. And it was the most beautiful event. We ended up doing half of it there and half of it down. Actually, I have pictures down. We put chairs down on the river and did it outside. And then when we came back at the end, I offered to pray for anybody that wanted prayer. We ended up having a prayer meeting at the end. The power of God was just incredible. And so that third event truly launched my business and launched me into a much more authentic and real business. Now, I still wasn't thinking about coaching. I was speaking. And then pretty soon at these events, I had people wanting to meet with me and having lunch, and actually just reached out and said, would you coach me? And pretty soon I had coaching clients. And then I started looking at the coach certification programs and felt this huge lack. And so then I ended up creating the P.R.O.S.P.E.R coach certification program. And then during COVID, the P.R.O.S.P.E.R TV emerged. So there's been a lot of just stages based on the season of, what's happening. And right now, I believe the season is us coming together. And so the P.R.O.S.P.E.R Leader membership is a wonderful opportunity to get equipped and bring both heaven and earth together. I believe God's calling us that. The faith side, the prayer, the promise, the principles, everything scriptural and our vision and all of that. And earth, the structure, the strategy, the systems. And I believe in this season, God's calling us to bring those together. And so I do that in the P.R.O.S.P.E.R Leader membership in two ways. On Wednesdays, I have the P.R.O.S.P.E.R Power Hour. which is just, like I said, the heaven side. We pray, we have a promise of the week, a principle of the week, and it's just a beautiful time, right? And then on Thursdays, I do the office hours, which are really being up-leveled to CEO hours, equipping people to move from just being operators or employees in their own business to truly leading their business as CEOs. And then, of course, the P.R.O.S.P.E.R membership site, which has lots of resources, lots and lots. So whether it be in improving your sales skills or your follow-up or Bible studies, there's just richness in there. So that's what has emerged as a way of bringing this all together.
Well, I'm just say this because the Four Agreements is the number one book I've recommended over the years, and you have a 12-course Bible with the Four Agreements, kind of a Bible study with that. And I bought it in the New Age section back in, and I was like, whoa. So I was so grateful. We have so many similarities as far as our beliefs, our words, and all those things. But I want to go back to something else that you were authentic before. I call authenticity the new sexy, right? I mean, if you're not authentic these days, you just aren't going to make it, I don't think. But in 2012, that wasn't the way it was. And so you part of the beginning of that movement by being real, honest, taking that mask off. And what I wanted to say to that is you were such a striver. Right. You did it all. You were superwoman, super mom, and traveled every weekend and worked 7 days a week and homeschool your kids and debate clubs. And I mean, when I hear all those things, I'm like, whew,
Yeah.
and the moment that you were able to, and I'm not exactly sure the timing here, but the moment you were able to stop striving, do you want to tell the story that's in the book?
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's been, Scripture says that about us, that it is progressive, right? Romans chapter 12 talks, in the Amplified translation, talks about being transformed by the renewal of our minds. And I love that word, the renew, right? Which means to make new again, which now neuroscience, we are actually doing that. We're making new neural pathways. We're like, it actually is, scientific. And so it says we're transformed by the renewing of our mind. And the Amplified goes on to say, being progressively changed as we mature in our faith. So I would say that this has been this progressive evolution. So I open the first chapter in the book telling the story of how that first got revealed to me. And so I was still, at that time, I was running the multi-7-figure company, and I was doing it all. I was homeschooling, my kids. I was running a speech and debate with competitions for high schoolers. And so teaching all of that and, speaking myself and running the company and staying in shape and just yada, yada. So I had traveled on this I would travel and speak and train the different organizations around that were in our business around the country. And so this particular weekend, I went into New Jersey. I used to go into Newark, New Jersey every month or two. In this particular case, I went there and I was completely just fried. I was like, I like to say, like a garden, as like a flower that had not been watered, right? And I was just completely wilted. I like to say soul tired, like tired at the soul level. And I saw a church, and they were having some kind of revival or meeting, something. And I didn't start my trainings till the next day. I decided to go into the church. And I made my way to the front, and the worship was just playing, and it was just like a warm blanket, and I was just lost in the worship. And all of a sudden, I heard so loud in my spirit, cast out the slave woman. Now, I knew that's a biblical reference to Sarah and Hagar and that whole story, Abraham. I knew instantly, though, this was not about that. It was about me. And that God was telling me to cast out this inner slave woman in me, the inner slave woman of striving, of proving, of sacrificing, right? And that day I left changed. And then working that totally into my life, just it began to weave in more and more until, I had the complete system that God gave me, the P.R.O.S.P.E.R. Every chapter, by the way, you're right. This is an easy read. This was originally a 300-page book. And my publisher, who's got over 40 years in publishing, said, I want this under 100 pages. So I had to get from 300 to 100. And so it's a little tiny book, hard on the ego, right, as a published book, but easy on the read and easy to implement. And so the contents are literally, the chapters are P.R.O.S.P.E.R. And so as you work through those, partner with God, renew your mind, open the flow, simplify and create space, purpose and identity, emotional alignment. The last R is the faith rest life. What does that look like? And I combine it. It's the resurrection life and the faith rest life. And Hebrews talks about the faith rest life, especially if you read it in the Passion Translation. I think it's Hebrews 4. And it's just so beautiful. It uses that word in the Passion Translation probably 4, 5, 6 times. And I just glued to it. It's like, yes, the faith rest life as we enter into his rest. And we don't wait till heaven or till we die. It's now as we build, as we, serve. And a lot of that, again, comes from our renewing of the mind. So, for example, how we view work. Like, I was raised, work is something you do for money. Like, it has nothing to do with God, right? Maybe it's even just a curse. If you're going into Genesis and you're not looking at how it's redeemed, the word work in the Bible is absolutely, the Hebrew word is amazing in that it means work. It also means worship, and it also means serve. So when we have a renewed mind, and I've recently identified 9 areas in business that we need a renewed mind and we need a system. 9 areas. I just taught that in the Partner with God masterclass. And so it's everything from how we view God, how we view ourselves, how we view work, how we view our clients, how we view money, how we view profit, how we view our team. I mean, these all need to be redeemed and fully Spirit breathed, Spirit led, and when we live like that with both the mindset and the skill set and the action, you end up with a faith rest life. And that's the R, the final R in the P.R.O.S.P.E.R system.
And who doesn't want that, right? So faith and rest and living in your purpose and those just really doing something. But what you did, I believe, I want you to be really clear on, instead of working 7 days a week, you just kept chopping it down, and now you work 3.5 days a week. Yes. For the most part. Yeah. And I think that coaches, people that I can't even imagine, entrepreneurs, so to speak, can't even imagine, taking 3.5 days off. It's amazing.
Again, it's a renewing of the mind. This started from the time I got that word, and I was still running, the network marketing company at that time, and I got that word. And so the first thing I did was cut. Instead of working every weekend, I cut it to 1 weekend a month. And then I started cutting out, and the profits and the sales and everything increased. And then I cut out Wednesdays in the middle of the week. And that was my self-care day, hairdressing, girlfriends, chiropractor, whatever. Well, by 2012, when I started Prosper in All Things, I really believe that work expands to the capacity that we give it to. Like it's a hungry beast. It'll give it whatever space you give, whatever, it'll take every breath that you have if you give it. And so I set structure, and that whole calendaring system is in my coaching, and it's in my book. And I started 3.5 days a week, and that since 2012, I still hold to that. So I work Wednesday through half a day Saturday, and then half a day Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday are off. My other passions, whatever that is at the time. It might be writing a book. I'm a salsa, I'm a Latin ballroom dancer. I love gardening. I love hiking. I love traveling. I'm a foodie. It could be anything that I'm being called to, but I have the space and the margin to be with God, to create, to rest, to, have a cycle. Now, people have different cycles. Some people work 3 weeks of the month and they take 1 week off every month. Some people work, a couple months and they take a month off. There's a lot of ways. It fits your individual style. But for me, doing it this way every week, it's just really perfect. I love it. And just came back from the tax guy again, and my income has gone up and I'm always surprised, right? And so this is something I believe God is calling us to. Again, it's building a profitable faith integrated business.
And I don't think most people can imagine having 3.5 days off a week, and in our busy worlds we're in.
You bring up a really good point, and I want to bring it up while you're saying that. The reason for that is twofold. Many people started their coaching, healing, consulting, whatever business. They came out of a job. They worked a job, and then they started their business. And so what happened is they brought their employee mentality into their business, and they became basically their own employee and driving themselves just without mercy. And so they're an operator instead of an owner. They're not operating as a CEO. They're not thinking like a CEO. And along with that, they have a certain perspective, and they try to do everything themselves. And again, I mentioned the 3 inefficiencies. One of them is they don't have a clear path. So where are they getting their path? Lots of gurus online. And this guru says, write a book. This guru says, get good at social media. This guru says, become a podcaster. This guru says, become a good, writer, whatever, email marketing and, funnels and advertising. And so they try to do it all. And so they get in this major juggle mold, hoping that something works, and rarely does it. Instead of learning how to train up a team, and they say, well, I can't afford a team. It's learning to understand ROI and make sure that every team member is a profit center. They're not eating your lunch money, they're creating more lunch money, right? And so there's a way of thinking. And I think I was blessed to bring that before I ever came into the coaching space. I was already a CEO. And so I can think that way. And honestly, the culture in coaching can pull you down. I get pulled down sometimes where I end up doing, and then I'll be like, do a time audit on yourself. What are you doing, right? And that's why I like a book called Buy Back Your Time. Things to really think carefully about how we steward. How do we steward our first of all, our health and our body? How do we steward our relationships, first with God, but how do we steward our relationships? How do we steward our time, right? How do we steward our money? People think of stewarding, managing, wise management, just in the financial area. No, I mean, equal steward. One of my free lead magnets, you can find out, there's Time Management Secrets of Jesus. Jesus was like one of the busiest people in the world, and yet he wasn't frantic and striving and exhausted and all of that. Yeah, he'd get tired when he'd do a lot, but I think it's really important that we understand that.
Biblical Secrets of Jesus. That's very
Time management secrets
yeah.
of
Oh,
Jesus.
time management. And then you also have so we BrendaByers.com. We might as well add a little bit of this in here. Brenda Byers, BrendaByers.com.
Yeah.
Find all kinds of stuff. And Total Soul Prosperity book, totalsoulprosperity.com. And there's a free 7-day reset for that. So those two, first of all, get her book, and
Thank
then
you. Yeah, in the totalsoulprosperity.com, that's totally dedicated to the Total Soul Prosperity book. So you can read about it. There's the Amazon link to buy the book. And when you join the VIP list, you get 7 days of emails coming from me with an audio teaching. And so I go through each of the 7 of the Prosper system. I walk you through it once a day for 7 days. And you just get that free when you go to totalsoulprosperity.com. BrendaByers.com, more focused on the coaching and the business, and you can schedule an appointment with me. I'd love to meet with you and get to know you. And you can, learn about the Prosper Leader membership, things like that.
You offer a lot and a lot of value, and that's what
prayer.
Yes, the entire everybody says that in our Prosper Leader membership. Man, she doesn't skimp on delivering. So that's beautiful. I'm going to take a half a second here, and I'm going to talk about one of the things that I love the most, and it's called Zenzino. It's if you have inflammation, and everybody does, if you have inflammation, the good stuff can't get in your cells, and the bad stuff can't get out of your cells. So we've got a balance oil. And if you take a 1-second shot of that a day, and it's test-based nutrition. So you take a blood test and find out if you are in balance or not with your omega-3 and 6. 99% of North Americans are out of balance. No surprise there. Our diets are bad. So I'm just going to take a pause right now. I'm going to stick in my little commercial, and we'll be right back with Brenda Byers.
I'm taking a mini moment to share about cell health. One of the most important pieces in our body. Are your cells hard and crunchy? Are they soft and malleable? Let me tell you, if they're hard and crunchy, the nutrients can't get in and out. And if they're soft and squishy and malleable, the nutrients can. So when you have good, soft, malleable cells, you have better brain function, hair quality, heart function, skin elasticity, inner organs are better, and your joints and muscles are better. Whoop, see that? But like 99% of North Americans, we're out of balance in our omega-3 to omega-6. Test, don't guess. We've got a test. It will absolutely give you your results on a full scale test of your balance. You need to be 3 to 1 or better, like 99% of North Americans are not. So we've got a simple solution. 1-second shot of beautiful golden omega-3 oil a day. Test, don't guess. Now back to the show.
Thanks, Brenda, for waiting. We're back, and we just got a few more minutes to wrap up here. I just can't get enough of your wisdom and your grace and your stories and all that. I want to ask you something about chapter 7. So chapter 7 in your book, Total Soul Prosperity, and I got to get my glasses on.
I'll join you.
Yes, resurrection life, the realm of faith rest. I want, we're talking about, generally we're overcoming and we're dreaming, but we want to offer hope. You had a vision. I want you to talk about your vision and where we're headed. You got about 5 minutes or 8 minutes max, but let's, that vision that came to you out of the blue and the coincidence, God winks of the emails. Let's go.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, God, this is the one time in my life I've heard God for many years in my spirit. This is one of the few times that I actually heard God audibly. And it was a very profound experience. I used to get up very early in the morning. This was when I was still married. And I would go to the gym, and then I'd come home and breakfast and homeschool the kids. And my in laws lived with me and all of that. And I pulled in, had a huge family, with 3 kids and in laws and dogs and all of that. I had a big Suburban. And I pulled into the driveway in my Suburban, coming from the health club, getting ready to go in and homeschool my kids. And I parked, and I literally saw a vision, like a panoramic vision. And there was all kinds of things, retreat centers and hospitals and training centers, education centers, feeding centers. It was just like amazing. And then I heard the audible voice, and that I would be one of the largest philanthropists in the world. Now, that's an overwhelming thought, even to this day. And at that time, I didn't even know what the meaning of that word was. It wasn't a word in my vocabulary, and I didn't even know what it was. So you can imagine that I was just reeling in my thoughts. And as I walked into the house, it just so happened that in the front room, a laptop was propped open, sitting there by the couch. And I walked over to email my husband at the time, and he was already at work. And there was an email from him. And I looked at it, and it was all in Korean. And I can read and decipher and speak Korean, but it takes a lot of time. And I didn't look at it. I just replied to it. And my reply, without knowing anything in the email, was, "Get ready, babe. I see hospitals, retreat centers, libraries, educational centers." And so a few hours later, he came home for lunch. And this was such a profound experience. I was still just reeling. And he didn't say a word. And I said, "How come you didn't respond to my email?" And he said, "Well, you were just responding to mine." I said, "No, I didn't even look at yours, honestly. I'm sorry." And he said, "Oh, come on." Well, he didn't believe me, but finally I convinced him, and he took me over, and it was one of those long emails that just scrolls. And I saved it. I still have it in my journal. And it was pictures of hospitals and retreat centers and educational centers and museums and libraries and all of these things. And it was a Korean article about Amway, network marketing company and it was talking about how I think the title of the article was that Amway was changing the face or the skyline or something of Ada, Michigan. And so, we had a network marketing company at the time, and I thought, oh, this vision's going to happen through that. Well, that didn't happen. And of course, as I shared earlier, I ended up divorced. But that vision kept coming alive and more refined. And so my passion that I write about in this last chapter is about total soul prosperity, as in other words, P.R.O.S.P.E.R retreat centers, starting there, where women can come and be completely transformed. And every aspect of it, the food that they're eating and their body, right? And I've seen everything from the music to the smells to the gardens to the teaching to everything, so that they come. And it's about reconnection, honestly. It's reconnecting them. Many of us are not connected to our heart. Like me, all those years, I lived neck up. We're in our head, right? Reconnecting to our heart, reconnecting to God's heart. We're disconnected from everything. We're disconnected from our food. We're disconnected from our body, from the land. So it's about reconnecting all of those pieces that they can experience, step into their true vision, their true purpose, their divine design. And then my passion with that is to take a majority of the profits from that and actually fund to support the mamas and the babies in that land. So develop, a career center for women, develop a healing center, develop, educational center, these things. And then I'd love to do it for different purposes in different countries. I'd love to do it in Belize. I'd love to do it in Colombia. I'd love to do it here in Northern California, Italy. Like I see a different purpose for different ones, right? And so, Lord willing, that's the next season. That's the next step.
Yeah, I was just rereading that today, and I was, I think it's important to share it. Yeah,
it was really hard to share it. Again, that's another taking off the mask, right? I mean, man, now you put it out there. You're accountable to do this, right? And face your fears and all this stuff, right? And
we know you and I are so about words, and every word matters, and when you say putting it out there, it does open up.
100%.
Somebody else is going to hear that and go, hey, I wanted to do that too. Maybe we can.
100%.
The tide rises, lift the boats, and
love that.
So putting it out there is almost a guarantee it will happen in the neuroscience world.
By that, I love all your stories. I love your heart for God and your heart for people, and loving doing this interview. You're a very gifted interviewer and podcaster and TV host and all of that. And yes, I love the way that you understand these concepts, and you're doing it too, and the things you're manifesting in your life. And I'm excited about those and grateful that you've shared those with me as well.
We couldn't stop compare. Everything you said was, I my book, split second transformation, change your words, change your life. 31 daily practices, and every word mattering. And I say this in almost, I talk about you in a lot of my interviews anyway, and a lot of our guests come from the P.R.O.S.P.E.R membership. But, I used to say, I need to rewrite this book because it says, speak what you want, not what you don't want, right? And you reminded me, not that I didn't already know, but you reminded me that want means lack.
Yes.
And so we want to speak what we desire, which is of the Father.
Yes.
And then he gives you the desire means of the Father. And then he gives you the desires of your heart, which he has promised. And so it's that little circle of speaking what you desire so that you can receive the desires of your heart. And you said it today in our Wednesday thing, we so often negate our desires by speaking death or cursing them or speaking that, but it'll never happen to me.
Speaking the opposite, right? We pray one thing and we speak the other. Or like you said, unknowingly, how often do people walk around saying, I want, or I just want, and they're not even aware, but words carry these.
Even more importantly, probably, is the I am. And we both said I am. Whatever you say after I am is who you are. It's who you are becoming if you repeat it. And I believe it was you that said you should never say anything after I am that you wouldn't say about God, because it is God in you, the God in you. The I am is God's name. And we're speaking it, we're claiming it, and we're cursing ourselves so often. I am sick, or I am, and I say, cancel.
Right,
you say something like that.
Tired and I'm broken. All of these things that we're putting. I am is the name of God and two most powerful words in the universe.
We use it so casually.
Yeah.
Well, we are at the top of the hour, and I say it every week, but it goes so fast. But this one especially,
this was the fastest hour ever.
This was having you here is just really divine to me. So thank you for your grace and for your gifts and your heart and the generosity that you have.
You make it so easy and so beautiful. You're very gifted at this, at what you do. And so I don't think I've ever had an easier interview, and it just flows so naturally. It's really a gift God has given you. So I'm honored to be on this with you, on this journey with you, on this journey beside you. And you're such a beautiful woman of God. I appreciate you with all my heart. And you have such a gift of encouragement that you share so often. And you just lift up people. And this shows how you do this. You create a showcase for people to rise, and you encourage them. So I encourage you to take this to the fullest possible. God's given you a really beautiful gift.
Thank you. And with your help, I think I will. I will. I won't say I
Let's
think I will.
go.
Yes. So everybody, thank you so much for listening. Go to follow Brenda and follow Charla and like and subscribe. Thank you so much. And you remember to always, always choose joy.